My parents took me, I grew up at Temple Baptist Church in Little Rock, and my husband's father was a Baptist preacher, and so of course there was no debate in their family either. It's just what we do, is if there's something going on at church, we're going to be there.
My husband's parents and my parents were Christian people. We were raised in Christian homes, and that's the only life we knew. We discussed it some, but primarily that was just the way we were brought up, and we didn't have second thoughts about it.
Both of us kind of come from I don't know if you'd say an unchurched, just without a father being.
We just didn't have fathers that took us to church.
I always like to make it clear that even though I can't really speak of my father as being a godly man, my father was a good man, and I would put him up against most any dads. He was a harsh, a disciplinarian, physically abusive at times. I grew up in a home that was very much opposite of maybe the home I wanted to create for my family and children. And
after we dated for 3 years, we got married, and just before we got married, Penny made that decision to join Antioch and to follow me at Antioch, and that was 19 years ago.
It's really humbling to see just how the Anderson name has changed just in my lifetime and generation. And I see part of my goal is to raise my children up in the way that my parents have raised me.
You've at least got to start with the groundwork. And to me, that's being in church and being in God's Word and growing and serving and doing those things.
They're going to raise us to love God, and then we can raise our kids, and it'll just kind of be fun to watch our kids grow up in the Word. So.
For me, I just think it's cool because, first of all, we grow up in a Christian house. We get to teach our kids how to do that, and we'll get to go to heaven. And then hopefully our kids will teach that to the next generation.
I want to be like my parents. I've seen the marriage that they share, and I've seen the lives that they've touched in our church and outside of our church.
It's just been a huge blessing to have the right example in my life to grow up in church.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for taking me to church.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for taking us to church.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you, Mom and Dad, for taking me to church.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, for taking me to church.
Thank you, Mom and Dad, for taking me to church.